My name is Evans Mensah, and welcome to another edition of PM Express. There is one game we are all looking forward to. In my lifetime as a football lover, I can only remember one game in the Black Stars history in my lifetime that is comparable to this particular match we'll be playing next week, Friday. And that game was that quarter-final match we played against Uruguay in South Africa. That game where we had the infamous hand of Suarez. That is the only game I can compare to this first leg of Ghana versus Nigeria. That was a quarterfinal. This is a playoff qualifier for the World Cup. We win this match, we have one more game to play with Nigeria, and then of course we are through to the World Cup. And of course, where Ghana is right now, I tell you, we've never needed the Black Stars more than we need them right now. Because with all the economic challenges that we're facing, if the Black Stars get to win this and qualify, it will put a smile on our faces. The economic challenges we face will pale into oblivion. That is how powerful football is. And so this game is absolutely important. And yet, we have a struggle to find a fit-for-purpose stadium. That is one of the things that has fascinated many, and we're going to be talking about it tonight. And because there's a big picture there that we also want to get into. It's far bigger than Ghana versus Nigeria, but Ghana versus Nigeria is shining a light on the problem. So what are the issues? We know that the CAF has been in Ghana trying to inspect the stadiums that we have, and we've been back and forth. We have just a week to this game, and we're still not sure yet, really, which of the stadiums we have will host this very all-important game with the Nigerians in Ghana. Right now, our best bet we thought was the Cape Coast Stadium. We're hearing, vibes that it may be moved to, the Kumasi Sports Stadium, because there itself was a place that the CAF had gone and said we can't play there. But there's a problem that we need to get to the heart of. If you look at these pictures, they tell a million stories. So we have the Cape Coast Stadium that is 6 years old, right? And yet it's look at the pitch. It isn't the best. But for a stadium that's just 6 years old, it begs the question, what happened to maintenance of that particular facility? It is our most recent modern stadium, because if you compare it to the Baba Yara Sports Stadium in Accra, which is 14 years old. I remember 2008 when we hosted the Africa Cup of Nations here in Ghana. It was one of those stadiums, a shining example of our ability to showcase to the rest of the continent what we are capable of. And well, 14 years on, it isn't fit to play one match with the Nigerians, right? And so that tells you a story of where we are. However, we've seen in the budget of 2022, the finance minister laying out a plan to fix the stadiums that we have. The Accra Sports Stadium, for example, is 98% complete. He told us in the budget. We have the phase one of the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, which is 98% complete again in the budget. We have the Sipon Stadium that is 90% complete in the budget also. And then we have the Cape Coast Stadium, which is what we are talking about, which is 60%. In terms of rehabilitation renovation, this is in the budget that we've been tracking. We know that there was some controversy, particularly around the Sipon Stadium, when it was said 90% complete. And the cameras went there, the sports journalists went to verify, and many said this stadium is nowhere near 90% complete. And that has been one of the issues that had come up also. But again, we've been tracking back. How much did we spend on the AFCON and the stadiums that we built? 157.2 million. So a lot of investment went in there. And we know that even that amount exceeded the projected amount of 152 initially by 5.1 million. And so we spent a lot of money in these 4 different stadiums I'm talking about. That is the Accra, the Sipon, the Kumasi, and obviously the Tamale. I mean, this was just in 2008. Do you know how long the Wembley Stadium has stood for and the renovation that has happened? Old Trafford is the one that I love. My team is playing tonight. We are losing by a goal to nil. But that's the thing about it. They maintain the stadiums. Maybe there's a bigger problem there that we haven't paid attention to. Maybe the finances aren't there to do this. Maybe it's a maintenance culture. But really, what is it? that is leading to the Nigerians. And we'll show you the Nigerians are beginning to poke fun at us, that they have the stadium ready and we can find ours. We'll tell you about that story very soon. But we spend money on the Ohenijan Sports Stadium. This is when Ohenijan was in his prime. Beautiful stadium. But somehow in 2022, it cannot host a Nigeria-Ghana match. Airwax Stadium was also renovated, we know. We know the Baba Yara Sports Stadium is also one of those that has been affected. We can't play there. We're trying to get the latest on this. Maybe it's possible that it will be the venue for us. Because if you ask anybody, from the Sports Authority to the GFA, they prefer we play here. But CAF says, this stadium may be not fit for purpose because of the quality of the pitch. And then we are at Tamale Sports Stadium. This was when the Tamale Sports Stadium was in its prime, right? Very beautiful. If you look at this picture, sharp with people in the stands. Go pay a visit to the Tamale Sports Stadium recently, and you'll probably be shocked. Part of it is overgrown with weeds, and there's some renovation happening there. And then the one, I guess, that tells the biggest story is the Sipon Sports Stadium, which, if you see the pictures that we've seen very recently from the Sipon Stadium in Takoradi, Sekedi Takoradi, it's really appalling indeed, the way we've left it to rot just in 14 years. There are stadiums elsewhere in the world that have stood there for decades, and they are still really going and hosting games, because then the pitch is always ready to host a game. But then it begs the question, if the Cape Coast Sports Stadium was the one that was our best bet, I mean, and we have this game just next week, why was it a host place for the recent Independence Day March and Parade, which of course added its own wear and tear to the pitch? That is a question I'm dying to ask. Number of home games that we played so far, we played 11 and in qualifying to the World Cup, etc. You know, this is the Black Stars home games since the 7th of June 2017. And if we counted, we've seen Baba Yara hosting, 4 of it. We have the Cape Coast hosting 5, and then Ohenijan 2. So we see that the Cape Coast Stadium seems to be one of those places of preference, obviously, because of its brand new nature, its quality. We are hosting a bit more there, right? And so that has been the count. And you see there, Baba Yara on the 12th of November, we hosted a game there, Ohenijan, and of course the Cape Coast Sports Stadium, 14th of November, we've seen games. And as I told you, the Nigerians, you know what is going to happen. This is the biggest games of our life, one of the biggest games of our lives. Ghana needs it more than Nigeria, trust me. Ghana needs this game more than Nigeria. Where we are right now, with all the fuel price issues and people are complaining, the city is falling, we need something. We need something to cheer us up, right? And Nigerians, trust the Nigerians, they will poke fun at us. And so we had Daniel Amokachi, as they say, the Indomie generation. They don't know Amokachi, but Amokachi was one of those players in when Nigeria was in their prime, far more than the Nigeria-Ghana Jollof. But they are taking this to another level. He found himself in the Nigerian stadium, and then he did this. Watch him.
We are at the Monshuda Biola Stadium. We are all ready. Look how beautiful the pitch is. Look how beautiful the stadium is. We are all ready. But some people are still looking for a venue. Some people are under confusion. You know who I'm talking about. We are 360, baby. Ha 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 ha. Hallelujah. We are at the Monshuda Biola Stadium. We are all ready. Look how beautiful the pitch is. Look how beautiful the stadium is. We are all ready. But some people are still looking for a venue. Some people are under confusion. You know who I'm talking about. We are 360, baby. Ha 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 ha. Hallelujah.
Amokachi, my guest, my colleague Muftao is joining me in the studio right now. Let's do the very latest. So that's Dan Amokachi. Yeah. Poking fun at us. We knew this was going to happen.
It was always going to happen.
So it's happening. But what is the latest on the stadium? What is CAF saying?
At this point, CAF is yet to officially communicate their decision. Their inspector from Uganda, Ivan Kutinga, was at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium on Monday. We understand some of the leadership of the National Sports Authority, including the Ministry of Youth and Sports, were all with him when he did the inspection and submitted his report yesterday to CAF, but we're yet to get an official communication from from CAF. We've spoken to people within CAF, people who are well placed when it comes to some of the decisions in relation to pitches across the the continent. And what they tell us is that they're yet to get an official communique. If the Cape Coast Sports Stadium is not passed, Bawayara is an alternative, but Bawayara was submitted at a time that the window for us to make changes had expired. So we will need a special dispensation from CAF and FIFA before we can host the game there. If that doesn't happen,
but they inspected that before, right?
Yeah, it was inspected. Well, the smarter thing that I think the Ghana Football Association did was when CAF decided that they wanted someone to come and see the pitch for themselves after Nigeria had complained about the bad nature of the pitch.
So Nigeria first complained?
Yeah, they first complained
about
the bad. No, they complained about the bad nature of the Cape Coast Sports Stadium.
Was that our first option?
It was our first option. Okay. It was actually submitted in 2019 that we wanted to use it for our World Cup qualifiers and African Cup of Nations qualifiers. So we used it for the first 2 matches. The last game against Sao Tome and Principe was played at the Accra Sports Stadium. After that game, CAF fined Ghana $5,000 for using this. They said the pitch was not good. So
after the game?
After the game.
But didn't they inspect it before the game?
They inspected. And you know one interesting thing? CAF actually allowed some countries to use the Accra Sports Stadium. But unfortunately, they never allowed Ghana. Liberia used it against Cape Verde. So how come Ghana cannot use? But the GFA decided, okay, then let's move all our World Cup qualifiers to Cape Coast. So they submitted the Cape Coast Sports Stadium to FIFA for all our World Cup qualifiers. So we played all groups World Cup qualifiers, preliminary qualifiers at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium. Now we've gotten to a point where CAF has said that if you want to change a venue, you can do so instead of the 90 days window we had given earlier. You can do so within 8 weeks. Ghana did not do that. The window expired on December 24. On January 25, the National Sports Authority writes to the Ghana Football Association, telling them that we want to organize the 65th Independence Day celebration at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium.
I see.
So they couldn't do anything about it. The GFA wrote to CAF on January 28, telling CAF that they want to change the venue. But before you can do that, you need an endorsement from the opposing federation.
That's Nigerian.
Nigeria must reach an agreement with the Ghana Football Association that we are changing the venue. That agreement must be sent to CAF and endorsed. And FIFA would then approve that we've changed the venue for you. We did not do that. We need to attach documents that is supposed to tell FIFA and CAF why we are changing our venue. We never did that. So we've gotten to a point where it is really, really difficult for us to have the Bawayara Sports Stadium. But anything is possible.
The worst case scenario, I understand, is that if CAF doesn't come up with a favorable verdict, we will be forced to play in another country.
Well, which is I would say 70% possible as we speak. Cameroon, Morocco, and Benin are the alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, this is that's where we are tonight.
Yeah.
So we've been traveling. But how long has it been since we've had this back and forth over the pitch?
Oh, so it actually began on January 25.
Okay.
January 25.
When it's been a long time, so why haven't we fixed it?
No, actually, the point is that because of the Independence Day celebration, it happened on 6th March.
Okay, so
which is just recent.
That without independent probably we will be closer to...
We could have even used the facility. The Nigerians decided to report after the images appeared on social media.
After the
Independence Day celebration and all that. So CAF decided that they were going to send someone. We don't want to rely on the picture Nigerians have sent to us. Someone
come and inspect it.
So
that's what happened when today?
No, it happened on Monday.
On Monday.
So
that's just yesterday.
The simplest assignment that was given to him was, give us the pictures. We want to see the pictures.
Okay.
As to whether it will be certified.
So when are we expecting a verdict?
A verdict, we cannot tell when, but I'm sure it should be out by the close of this week. Because if it doesn't come, it will be difficult for us to travel. Because Nigerians must also travel.
That is if you're playing in another country.
If you are going to a different country. And again, there are so many things that are happening behind the scenes. That's why I'm very convinced. I've been made to understand that the Ghana Football Association have reached out to Nigerian Federation where they're trying to iron out some issues. They want to get Nigeria Federation to sign onto the MOU for CAF to approve for the game to be moved to the Bawayara Sports Stadium. So conversations are happening behind the scenes. Hopefully, they will reach an agreement.
Muftau, thank you very much. Thankfully, we can get some more on this from the Sports Authority as we approach this game. The biggest game, I insist, we need it more than Nigerians do.
$12 million a tick.
It's not even about the money. It's about the feel-good factor for a country and a people still reeling from an economic impact, and we are all struggling. I think that is even where the economic capital, the feel-good capital, the social capital.
We'll forget about
that we need. We'll forget about all the fuel prices, and we'll just, So stay with me. After the break, we'll get into this conversation and get some further clarity from the Sports Authority. And my guests who are joining me also after this. Joining me in the studio is Abdul Majid Bawa. He is the Deputy Director of the Deputy Director General of the National Sports Authority, and the sports infrastructure we have in this country. They manage them. I'm grateful that you could join us in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Also joining me is Jerome Motri, former editor of the Kotoko Express. Ibrahim Sani Dara is an AFCON media manager, and so he knows a thing or two about how things are done at AFCON. It appears, I just got on the phone with the GFA, and it appears our fate is in the hands of CAF and FIFA in deciding what will happen. The timeline you're working with is 24, 48 hours, so possibly tomorrow we'll hear something from them. Wisdom Kobana Woyome is a ranking member on the Youth and Sports Committee in Parliament and MP, South Tongue constituency. As you may know, the committee had raised issues with the funding for maintenance and renovation of the various facilities, so I'm delighted that he could join me. But Mr. Bao, let me start with you. Let's start with the Cape Coast Stadium. Yes. First, give us, because the stadiums are yours to manage, give us a sense of what your own verdict is on the state of the Cape Coast Stadium and whether it's fit for purpose for the purposes of a game such as this.
Thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. Yesterday, I was in the company of the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports, his deputy, the Chief Director, the Director General of the National Sports Authority. We went there. In fact, the trip was already scheduled. It wasn't because of the inspector's presence in the country. The trip was originally scheduled for the ministry to visit the place and see things for themselves, the state of the pitch, as was being circulated on social media. So we went to Cape Coast. We had meetings with the regional director, the consultant, Green Grass Technology, and the Honorable Minister also invited the managers of this academy at Right to Dream Academy to come and assist the Green Grass Technology so that they can recover the pitch within time to enable Ghana play at Cape Coast. So that was the purpose for which we were there. And what we saw, I'm not a technical person, so the verdict about the state of the pitch, whether it will be ripe for the game on Friday, 25th, that is for the technical people to decide. But I've seen a lot of improvements on the pitch. The pitch has really recovered, as we saw yesterday. And if you look at the pictures that you shown earlier, and what we saw yesterday, there's a tremendous improvement on the pitch. And if what they are telling us is anything to go by, then the pitch could be ready by 20th.
Okay, so the operative word is could, so
yes.
There's no certainty there.
There's no, because I'm speaking as a non-technical person.
Yeah.
Yes, so I cannot be definite. Based on what I saw yesterday, yes. And I was there when the inspector, because we were there earlier, so the minister and his team left because they were not billed to be with the inspector. They were there to inspect the pitch as supervising ministry. So they left earlier. We decided to wait and see the impression, the facial impression, because he was not supposed to give us his report. Yeah. But at least based on his demeanor as he saw what was going on, then when we went there, the Green Grass Technology and his team, they were there working already. So personally, I felt that the pitch has tremendously recovered.
Did the SIS match affect it?
Definitely, it affected it because the sit match, the rehearsals were done at the pitch.
So we did all the rehearsals there and then the day itself.
The date itself, yes.
Considering that we had the game, this match was just last week, 2 weeks from there. Why did that happen? I'm just curious. I mean, because we have a big game.
Yes, we have a big game and we have our independence also to celebrate.
Yeah.
And so we had information from the state protocol that the presidency had decided that this year's festival will be celebrated at Cape Coast. And you realize that the previous two, the first one was in Tamale Sports Stadium, Ali Mama Sports Stadium, then Kumasi Baba Yara Sports Stadium. So the next one was the Cape Coast. And so we, as managers of the facility, thought that we had other facilities that we could use for the purposes of the game. Besides, the Kumasi Sports Stadium has bigger capacity than the Cape Coast one. And so based on that, we wrote to FA that this was the decision of the state. And so if they could look at Accra Sports Stadium and the Baba Yara Sports Stadium as the alternative venue for the game.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you wrote to the GFA to say, state is definitely going to do the independence there. So consider changing your venue.
Venue, yes. So we wrote to them, I think somewhere January, that was when we received the information. We received, I think, mid-January. And the following day, the Director General wrote officially to GFA and informed them about the decision and the alternative venue for Kumasi. You see, at the time that the venue, GFA submitted only Cape Coast to CAF. It is the duty of the host association to decide the venue per their regulations. So they give the Cape Coast facility as the venue for the playoff. So at the time, Kumasi Sports Stadium was under renovation. So, and Accra Sports Stadium had been written off. In fact, they rejected it for whatever reason we don't know.
That's the FA?
The
or
CAF. CAF rejected it. But what was surprising was that they allowed Liberia to play their home matches at the Accra Sports Stadium.
How long ago was this?
Oh, this is about, during the qualifier, about 3-4 months. When we were playing.
Yeah, so yes, maybe it's possible that it's deteriorated.
That was after the Ghana-Sao Tome game. Yes, that was after the Ghana-Sao Tome game at the Accra Sports Stadium. So we were surprised. If you say the pitch was not good to host international game, I don't know.
But to be fair, the time the last game from Liberia was played to now,
yes,
time has elapsed.
Time has, and we have been working on the pitch.
Okay.
And so we're expecting that after the Liberia game,
it would have been better.
It was better. It's better. Even up to now, it's better. So we're expecting that if everything, they could come and do another inspection to see whether.
I mean, so they rejected that.
They rejected that. So Cape Coast was our only venue because they
had rejected Kumasi too.
Kumasi was under renovation, so there was no way they could use it. But we had Tamale. I don't know why they did not consider Tamale Sports Stadium.
I passed by Tamale. For me, from the outside, it doesn't look like something that is.
You see, the place is that when you are standing outside, you don't see what is inside.
Yeah.
We were there, myself and the board chairman was at the Aliu Mama Sports Stadium about 2 weeks ago to do an inspection of the pitch and facilities there. You see, it's the dust that make the place look dirty. I mean, but they are working on the pitch.
Yeah, but so that's a problem. So all the key stadiums we have are all in a state of some renovation of a sort.
You see, we have to do continual maintenance.
In fact, we'll come to that because that for me is the biggest problem that we'll talk about shortly. Ibrahim Sanidara, you've covered sports for the FA for so long. Have you seen anything like we're having right now that with a week to go for such a big match? We're still not sure yet where we'll play the game, whether we even play it locally.
Been to several teams in the past across the continent of Africa where even up till now, lots of countries are not playing at home. Some of the teams will be playing their preliminary AFCON qualifiers in the coming days during the international break. Chad will be playing Gambia. Chad is playing the match at the Japoma Stadium that I was in charge of during the AFCON. So they have to move home from Chad to play their home matches in Cameroon, and then Gambia will be playing their home matches in Morocco. So it's a persistent issue. But the thing is that we must realize that the new CAF administration has made it a point that we need to crack down on bad pitches across the continent. We need to improve the standards of stadiums, particularly pitches. And President Patrice Motsepe has been saying pitches because the pitch, apart from the other facilities, are important. But the pitches are what people see on the ice. And when people see these games, these days, African football, during the AFCON was telecast around 150 countries across the world. And if you have dodgy pitches, potato farm looking like pitches, it sends the bad image of African football. So it's about time that not only Ghana, but countries across Africa realize that there's a new wind of change blowing, and that is to expect that there are some level of quality of pitches. Apart from its beauty on television and how it sells the African games, we have top quality players, very, very expensive footballers, players some worth over $100 million, and they would come and play on potato pitches. And you have, because of one bad pitch somewhere bang in the middle of Africa, you have a player that's worth maybe $150 million, $100 million getting injured on such a pitch. So it doesn't bode well for African football. European teams are edgy when they hear that their players are going to play in Africa. Therefore, as organizers of the game, as promoters of the game, we must make sure that at least the basic things, that is, the pitch is good, the dressing rooms are good, the other facilities for broadcasters and the rest are good, so we can showcase ourselves. If we want to get to the standards that we consistently say African football must reach, we have to project ourselves well. If we have the top stars and we put them on dodgy pitches, how can we see the beauty of their game? If we have top stars and we expose them to injuries that they can avoid, why do you want Europe to respect us? So this is the new era, and I think that Ghana must step up to the plate.
You mentioned Ghana there, Jerome. I mean, this is a country that is known for its love of football. And we just illustrated all the amounts we spent on the 2008 CAF. We built brand new stadiums. 14 years on, none of it is fit for purpose. So what is it? You've been in many stadiums in Ghana. After 2008, we thought our problems with stadiums have been fixed. Apparently not. What's the problem?
Because the problem has got to do with leadership and management. And we don't have to mince words. We have people tasked to manage the country's sports. We have people who are mandated or who have been mandated with the business of managing sports infrastructure in the country. And so if infrastructure in the country is not up to standard, is not fit for purpose, the first question has to go to those who are mandated to manage it. If I give you something to take care of, and I come back to see the thing in ruin, I don't have to bypass you. Every question I have must first come to you, so you explain to me why whatever I gave you is in a much poorer state than perhaps the time I was giving it to you. You see, I've been listening very carefully to everything that has been going on regarding this pitch issue. And Evans, I initially mentioned leadership. Let us call out the NSA. Everything that has happened is as a result of the poor leadership of the NSA. Everything that has happened is as a result of the NSA not being in touch with reality. The reality that in this world today, if you want to do PR, you must think through whatever you put out. The NSA, I'm sorry, did not do that. Why we are having this conversation is that the NSA sought to publish pictures that they should have kept away from the public. Because, I mean, all of us in Ghana who cover football know very well that our pitches are not good. Yes, I mean, we've been trying to do something about it, to get players to play. I mean, to get teams to play. What the NSA did is what has brought us to this point. Because on Monday morning, right after the 6-match event, they published pictures showing a pitch that everybody who follows football will cringe after seeing the pictures. So for instance, when I saw the pictures on their Twitter handle, the first thing I did was to quote the tweet and tell them to stop publishing those pictures. Because for me, it was an advertisement of the poor state of affairs at Cape Coast. And even when they sought to do some damage, I mean, trying to correct the bad impression they've given of Ghana, they sought to again publish pictures that they filtered. And who were they deceiving? I am happy the Nigerians took on this issue because, you see, like I was saying, whoever likes football, whoever follows football, and Sandy was talking about the caliber of players we expect to play on certain pitches. I'm not surprised, for instance, Gambia and Chad will have to play their matches somewhere because, you see, we are bringing home players who are very expensive. And even if they are not expensive, it's their careers at stake. They can twist an ankle on a bad pitch. And so CAF, FIFA must be concerned on the quality of pitches we play on. So, you see, in my view, it is a matter of we talking so much about liking sports, being passionate about football, trying to pump so much money into developing the game. But in reality, it is just waste because at the end of the day, the very things we are supposed to do to keep these facilities in shape, we neglect it.
Yeah, I mean, stay with me, Jerome. Let me quickly throw that. Mr. William, give me a second, I'll come to you short. Let me quickly throw that to Mr. Bar. Mr. Bar, since the sports infrastructure is your primary responsibility, do you accept that the NSA indeed has failed to maintain our infrastructure to put in the shape that is always ready for any game?
For the Independence Day celebration at the venue that this match will be played, we will not have had this problem.
But that's not true, is it? Because we had 5 stadiums.
Yes.
None of it was acceptable, was fit for purpose.
No, if you say none of it, I'm not sure it's true. It is not also true that none of it is fit for purpose.
CAF says Accra Sports Stadium is not fit for purpose.
Yes, CAF rejected.
Kumasi is not fit for purpose.
At the time of all, I told you that Kumasi was under renovation. Esepon was under renovation. GFA didn't consider Aliu Mamman Sports Stadium.
Because obviously it's not fit for purpose.
There's nothing wrong with it. Who said that it's not fit for purpose? For what purpose? Is it for international matches? Me and you, we cannot determine whether the stadium is fit for international game or not, unless the inspectors from CAF or FIFA. That had not been done in the case of
But do you admit at least that if we're doing regular, consistent maintenance of Accra, Kumasi, or Sipon, because we saw the Sipon pictures this year, it was shocking. If we're doing regular, consistent maintenance, we should never get to a place where we completely close the stadium down for this long for maintenance. For
certain renovation works, you necessarily have to close the stadium down. For example,
we are all lovers of football.
What is happening in Esepon, for example, you have to remove the rusty metals.
But that's my point.
And sandblast them before.
It should never get to a point where the stadium is so rusty and moldy that you have to remove rust like that. It should never get to that point.
Yes, we can say so if there are resources available to carry on the regular maintenance.
So it's about lack of resources to maintain.
Yes, resources are not always adequate for such purposes. So government has to come into our aid to assist us to be able to do such maintenances. You remember in 2018 we started the Accra Sports Stadium, we moved to Kumasi Sports Stadium, and then we are in Esepon. So we are doing what is necessary, good for us. But for the Independence Day celebration, I'm not sure that we will be talking about where the match will be played. Yeah. I'm very convinced that at the time that we've completed the Kumasi's Baba Yara Sports Stadium, if they had sent inspectors, they would have approved it for purpose.
Okay, stay with me. Mr. Wyoming, you've had calls to raise this in Parliament at the committee level. And the budget that you approved, Parliament approved, had spending lines in there for renovation of the stadium and the infrastructure. What's your take on where we are tonight? It appears that we've come full circle and the chickens have come home to roost.
And good evening to your viewers out there. With the situation the country finds itself, and then the problem of not having very good pitches to be able to host this if the result comes out in I don't want to say it, but if it comes out not favorable, we probably may have to go outside the country, and that it's avoidable in the sense that it goes into policy and planning and strategy on the part of government, because time and again we've discussed the need to put out a strategy to maintain these facilities across the country. Government has time and again also indicated their inability, because you realize that, as indicated by Mr. Bauer, resources are not available to be able to be maintaining these facilities. And so there's been suggestion to maybe go the PPP way, to probably outsource or get some event organizers to manage these facilities over the period, so that at least we can always put these facilities to use for mutual benefit for the state and as well as for private, use, so that at least we can always have these going for all of us. We wouldn't have been in the situation we find ourselves. And also, if you also look at how much money has actually gone into sports facilities that was embarked on across the country through this building of astroturfs across, which are also substandard. They are not even up to the normal FIFA standard pitches. I mean, they could probably, I don't know, save the situation if we had actually applied those resources properly. And so here we are, we've been exposed in taking wrong decisions over the period, and we've always said it, and it's not being heeded to. And I don't know, it's so sad that we find ourselves here. I mean, there have been wonderful suggestions on the table, beautiful write-ups. We meet at various, should I say, strategic engagements where some of these wonderful ideas are churned out, but it appears the executive is not running the bet. The NSC, they have that responsibility. We've always told them, you have that key, you need to run with it. And there must be somebody to push the agenda, and that is the ministry also as well. And so I think it's sad to find ourselves where we are. Well, it's avoidable, though.
I mean, Mr. Barr, let me ask you, you touched on the fact that the NSC simply is not adequately resourced to do this regular maintenance the way you should. How bad, you need to appreciate the problem, because everybody is blaming you. Everybody, and rightly so, because the stadiums are your property.
Yes.
But we don't know your problem. I mean, you've just touched on the fact that you simply don't have we were expecting that the stadiums would be ready.
Yes.
But so what is the problem again? Is it lack of resources or lack of planning or just a poor maintenance culture? What is it?
I think it's a combination of resources, maintenance culture, because if the facility...
But that's an indictment on the NSA.
To some extent, not only NSA. And
this who else? Who else?
You see, what people don't avert their mind into, we are the managers of the facilities. We know that we need ABC resources to be able to keep the facility in a standard that football and football lovers want. But somewhere 2019, 2020, we said that, okay, when we are playing a league match, for example, at the Accra Sports Stadium, we spend not less than 15,000 Ghana cedis. For example, I'm not underrating any club, but assuming Legon City and Accra Lions, for example, are playing, the spectators don't come. But we spend almost 15,000 Ghana cedis to maintain the pitch and the
for one game.
For one game. This thing, when you ask the club to assist, they don't. They cry. They don't have money. We want, okay, so why don't you pay for the services? Then we use whatever we are receiving from you to be able to keep the place for you. They said no, they cry. In fact,
so they play there for free?
They play for free. They play for free. We get, sometimes at the end of the match, we have only 200 Ghana cedis.
Oh.
Yes.
Accra Sports Stadium.
200 Ghana cedis. That would be our process.
After you spend 15,000.
After you spend 15,000 to prepare the pitch for the game, then at the end of the game, all the deductions, because it's our responsibility to make sure that we invite security, we invite the paramedics, and all the people that will make the place safer for the game. We have to give them TNT. All these things are deducted. So after the deduction of all these things, then a sharing ratio is there. And what comes to NSA, sometimes 50 cities. I remember we play a game in Sinyane, only 50 Ghana cities that came to NSA. So that is the challenge. Fortunately for us, the NSA board is in talking terms with some people that they think that they can partner us so that we'll be able to involve the private people to be able to carry on our mandate so that we have other facilities that can be put into other use so that we can generate resources to be able to keep the games going.
Stanley, what's your take on what we just heard there?
Right. The truth is that the National Sports Authority, and indeed, it's not a problem with Ghana alone, that football clubs right across the continent play use national stadiums in playing their matches. And most of their matches are somehow subsidized because you can't charge the full rate for a club like you mentioned, Legon Cities, Accra Lions, Liberty Professionals, if they choose to play at the Accra Sports Stadium. If they choose to play at the stadium, they'll be racking up debts. And that is the truth. Now, what do they have to do? I think that Bao and his team will now have to start exploring. One, I think that it's also government's responsibility to ensure that the place is consistently maintained. Government must not run away from that responsibility, because if you ask the civil servants they're working to go and look for money, they should be able to come up with creative strategies. But I still maintain that it will be difficult for them to even be able to break even. So what money will they have available to be able to maintain the place? They still have to fall on national coffers to be able to get the money to maintain the place regularly. That said, their marketing department should be up and doing. Now, there are various ways and means that people monetize stadium operations. They should perhaps consider selling the name of the stadium to a brand to buy it. The FNB Stadium in South Africa, for instance, is sponsored by the bank. It was the Sun City Stadium, but now it's called the FNB Stadium. And like it is done everywhere, Emirates in England or in London, the Allianz Arena in Germany, all of these things are sponsored by sponsors, or the name rights of the stadium is bought. And, so there are many ways they can monetize the place. But as it is now, the state will have to continuously, subsidize some way, somehow, the operations of the stadium to make it effective. If they leave them without financing them, I'm sorry, we'll run back to the same problems of, our facilities becoming white elephants.
Yeah, I mean,
if we say we want to charge the full price, some clubs might not be able to play at all at the stadium, and the stadiums will become useless. That is the truth.
Yeah, I mean,
apart from matches like Hearts and Kotoko, and some matches involving some of the big teams, it will be very difficult for them to break even.
Yeah, I mean, Jerome, to that point, I mean, you were with Kotoko, right? And so you've seen this watching our league matches on the daily basis. What we've just heard there from the NSA shows, they are, yes, they appreciate the problem, but they're just not equipped financially, resource-wise, to attack it.
Evans, I fully understand the point, I mean, he's making about not having enough financial resources to manage the stadium. But you see, that argument has to be partially rejected because there are clubs in this country who pay so much to the NSA after their matches. I have seen Kotoko pay so much to the NSA after a game with Haas. Haas of Oak have done same. So the issue of money definitely will come up because, I mean, in a whole season, Haas Kotoko will play twice. And I agree that whatever they are able to raise will not be enough to even run the two stadiums. I mean, the one in Kumasi and the other in Accra. But the point goes beyond the lack of money. The point is also about the competencies that the people at the NSA have to manage the stadium. It's not just about money not being there. Yes, the state must commit resources to the NSA so they have enough to run the business they have been asked to run. But it is also about who they have. Do they have the right competencies to manage the stadium? Evans, I saw the Esipon Stadium in 2008 when Nigeria played Ivory Coast during the AFCON. It was a beautiful facility.
Yeah.
Later, I mean, years later, about 2-3 years later, when I visited there for a Hazakers game against Kotoko, I couldn't believe my eyes.
Yeah.
Electrical fittings have been removed. So it is not just about not having the money. It's also about the discipline. Do you have the right competencies to do the kind of things you are supposed to do? Evans, if you are supposed to plant grass and you cannot plant grass, what about the roofing that is rusting?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on a very important point there about the pitch, because we've been talking about the pitch. Simple grass in pristine that you water. I mean, Mr. Boy, I need to ask you that. I mean, simple grass that you have to just keep watering, and we have lawns in our house, right? If you keep it trim every single day, why can't we even get that basic one right?
Evans,
yes.
Let me interrupt you.
Yes, please.
It's not just basic. It's not just about watering the grass.
Oh, okay.
Pitch maintenance, and the reason why they CAF rejects pitches goes beyond you just watering the grass. It needs to be level. It needs to have some level of bounce. All of these factors come into play. It's not just a straightforward case where you say, oh, the grass is lush green, and that's it. No, it's not that. You can have the grass being lush green, but beneath the facade is an unmistakable holes within it. So that's the reason why you have people say you need to water the pitches before the match. If the level of the pitch is, is damn flat, that ensures that the ball.
But Sonny, I agree with you. But I mean, within the context of all the things that the stadium needs to function, certainly, surely, maintaining the grass should be the easiest of the lot.
It's not easy. I would want to think that, you see, we have to, the country itself does not have a department that looks, or a department that has ground.
We have parks and gardens. Who do it for you?
We have officers from Parks and Gardens that we have employed to take care of the pitches. When 2008, when they refurbished the Accra Sports Stadium and the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, the green grass technology trained some of our men. So when it comes to pitch maintenance, we are on top.
I see.
We don't have problem with the maintenance of the pitch.
I see. Really?
No.
Because when I watch the games in Accra, it's terrible. It looks, even on television, it doesn't look. Jerome, yeah, you have a point. Let me get Jerome's point quickly. Jerome, quick point.
Just about the pitch. Even the washrooms. Look, we can't maintain washrooms. Sani has traveled across the continent. Ask him about the FMB Stadium. You can even sleep at the washroom. Here at Baba Yara, you can't even enter there.
So even in Cameroon, you can sleep at the washroom. I was able to stay in the washroom for 3 hours.
Yeah, I see. I mean, gentlemen, just a second. Mr. Woyome, yes?
Yeah, I just want to chip in. In fact, the fantastic submissions goes to tell the deficiencies and the problems we have I mean, in terms of the management of the facilities across the country. And then again, why is the entity not running with the numerous proposals on the table, where by law, they are clothed with the powers to engage the experts who will run and even consider the possibility of making profit in their business plan and then mutually sharing with the entity itself for government's own benefit. We will not encounter problems like what we are putting out here, including maybe how watering is done, the efficiency of it, the facilities like the washrooms and etc. I want to find out. In fact, I've always asked this question every time I met the minister and also the head of the NSA. What are they doing?
Yeah.
To consider
those proposals. Yes.
Or probably.
Yeah, but very important point, Mr. But I have 30 seconds. Can you address that? You have proposals on your table. Why are you implementing them?
Yes, we have proposals on it, but this is a public institution. We work to the board. And so the board will have to give approval.
But the proposals have been there for years. Why? What's happening with? Why can't the board?
Those that I know, the board took the board or the previous board worked on some of them, but they couldn't complete, and so the board was dissolved. A new board has been to consider some of this, and part of it is entering into a PP arrangement with other companies, even to develop some of the facilities that we have that are laying bare. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Bauer and gentlemen, thank you very much. We are looking forward to that game next week, Friday.